welcome you to Lincoln Financial Field on an absolutely beautiful Sunday night. Our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 training camp presented by DraftKings. We've got a live audience, ladies and gentlemen, a great crowd on hand here in South Philadelphia. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro along with Chris McPherson. And Chris, we got a little show to put on here tonight as we bring the fans around the world a little closer to the Philadelphia Eagles, who are dressed in their full uniforms with that energy green and in the numbers, looking good, looking fly, as they say. And everybody is here, C-Mac, ready to have some fun.
I expect quite a show tonight as Nick Sirianni wants to impress the fans in his first time he has a chance to showcase his team to the faithful at Lincoln Financial Field. And this is going to be very exciting, Dave, not just for the rookies and the newcomers, but guys like Jalen Hurts and the other second-year players, Jalen Reagor, guys who did not get to play in front of the faithful last season. This hopefully, as Miles Sanders said the other day, will be like a game-like atmosphere to get them whet the appetite just a little bit and have Thursday night's preseason opener against the Steelers. But an absolutely phenomenal evening. Can't wait for the team to electrify the crowd.
Yeah, it really gives the Eagles a sense of what it's going to be like in a game situation. The preseason does begin on Thursday. The Steelers and the Eagles kick off at 7:30 locally on NBC 10. We've got you covered on PhiladelphiaEagles.com as well as our official team app and our social media channels. And we got a great crowd, Chris. Like, really in the last 15 minutes, the lower bowl, as you can see, is filled up. Eagles in their stretch period right now. And everybody really curious to see what this football team is all about.
Spuds, I think curious is a great word. They are excited. They missed this team. They missed being able to come to Lincoln Financial Field and cheer this team on in 2020. And there are so many new facets to this team, starting with the head coach, Nick Sirianni, with Jalen Hurts taking over at the quarterback position, a brand new draft class, new free agents, guys like Anthony Harris coming into the team, Ryan Kerrigan and the like. So many new faces for the fans to get accustomed to, and it's kind of just like a welcoming back period. We missed you, they missed them, and let's get everyone together here for a party here on Sunday evening.
Yeah, it's our biggest crowd since the Eagles-Seattle playoff game in the 2019 season, early 2020. And so it's a really good time. Everybody's in a great mood. It's an absolutely perfect night. The first of two open practices to the public, and our training camp coverage continues, and thanks to our friends at DraftKings. Now, you'll notice in the background there, and we'll get some tight shots on it, the Eagles coaches and football operations wearing T-shirts are honoring Harold Carmichael, who on Saturday was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Players wearing it also, you see Kelsey there. But the Eagles players and coaches wearing these cool T-shirts. Harold's in the hall. Great ceremony last night in Canton, Ohio.
You were there.
I was there.
You
Yeah. Now there were. It was. I will tell you, it was mostly Steelers fans. I'll be honest with you. Okay, but it was Steelers fans, Cowboys fans. They each had 4 players going in, but there was a good contingent of Eagles fans, and the Eagles saying congratulations to Harold Carmichael in their own way here tonight at this open practice. And Nick has worn Jake Elliott shirts, and I think he wore Miles Sanders
That was
shirt.
at practice the other day,
Yeah.
yes.
So, he likes to pay tribute to the Eagles past and present, and we congratulate, as we all do, and we have for a long, long time. Harold waited a long time since his career ended in 1984 to go into the hall, the centennial class of 2020, inducted last night, and I was with Harold before, I was with Harold after, I was with Harold in the post party, and he could not have been happier. What a great, great moment. And everybody in the NFL happy for a guy like that to finally get his recognition.
The thing with him is he's an absolute gentleman, a class act. Everyone in the organization loves and reveres Harold. But you go back to the playing days. Let's not talk about the person. We'll talk about the player for a second. 6'8", was able to use that mammoth wingspan to dominate defensive backs. From 1972 to 1983, he led the NFL in every major receiving category. And Spuds, it's absolutely phenomenal that all these years after he's finished playing, he is still the all-time franchise record holder in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. 4-time Pro Bowl selection, the NFL Man of the Year for his charitable work off the field. It is long, long, long overdue, but it's great that we were able to celebrate number 17, Harold Carmichael, on Saturday night. And Dave, I said this on the live stream yesterday, but my favorite moment post-Super Bowl was when Harold got to come to the NovaCare complex and everyone got to give him the standing ovation that he truly deserved.
And C-Mac, I will say you did a fantastic job yesterday, you and Fran. I think I've been Wally pipped.
Not at all. Not whatsoever. Please.
And for those who are too young to reference that, look up Lou Garrett. But you did a great job. Really, I thought the practice was lively, what we saw of it. I was in Canton and getting ready for the Hall of Fame. They had the parade in the morning, and then they had the afternoon was kind of slow, and then it just really built up to a crescendo. The class of 2020 goes in last night. The class of 2021 gets inducted this evening. So very cool weekend of football for everybody as they now play the Rocky moment. Let's be silent for this. Look at that. I love it. Well, they can't hear it though, right?
No.
I'm sitting here watching.
We're
the Rocky.
soaking it in. We missed it.
Yeah.
We missed this as well.
Love it. So, Chris, we've got 11 sessions here tonight. Practice will go for about an hour 45. We'll be here for the first half hour or so before they break into team drills. And we're 5 days away from the preseason opener, and I don't know if they will tackle between now and then. I've never been part of a camp where they didn't tackle at all going into the preseason, but as Nick Sirianni says, it's all about availability. So we knock on wood here. We try to keep our fingers crossed that everybody stays healthy and is ready to go for the regular season. But no doubt, jobs to be won on Thursday night against the Steelers.
Well, especially because the roster cutdowns begin just after the first preseason game. The Eagles and the rest of the teams in the NFL will slowly whittle the rosters down to 53. So there's no doubt that players' jobs will be won and lost come Thursday night. But it's been a very interesting approach to training camp thus far for new head coach Nick Sirianni. He is working with the veterans. He's working with the sports science staff to figure out what is the best way to, like you said, Spuds, to keep these players available come game day. So I think the approach to the preseason is going to be fascinating because these players didn't get the preseason. The rookies didn't have a preseason in 2020. The Eagles will have the opportunity to evaluate these games over a 3-game stretch, starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night, and have the chance to be able to see these guys in a live game simulation. And quite honestly, these guys going through 9 practices into the 10th practice, they are tired of beating up on one another. So let's get back to the action on the field for a second here. We are looking at Jake Elliott with a new holder in punter Aaron Sipos. That is a combination that you're going to want to see come through and succeed early on in the preseason. The Eagles don't have another kicker, nor do they have another punter here in camp. They are trying to get that battery, that chemistry going between Rick Lovato, the Pro Bowl long snapper, Sipos, and Jake Elliott. So we are getting to see some live kicking drills right here. Jake Elliott doesn't kick every single day in practice, so we're putting on a show for the fans tonight, and it's great to see him have the opportunity to make field goals, especially at the stadium where he's going to have to attempt them here come Thursday night. So overall, with Elliott, really changed his stroke in the offseason, met with some specialists, tried to tweak his mental approach so that he's in the right frame of mind, mentally and physically, going into this season.
Yeah, and with Jake, it's never been an issue of length. He's got the leg. It's just been those 30 to 39 yarder, 30 to 45 yarders that have just not been always there. So, we see what he's got as he is working with Sipos, as you say, and Rick Lovato. And I talked to Jake about it, and he's very pleased with the operation, as they call it. And Sipos is the only punter in town, and he's the only holder in town. So they're really, really thrilled with the way it's going so far. We'll see what happens in a live game situation. This kick now from Elliott is about 46 yards. We'll see what he's got. The snap from Lovato is good. The hold good. The kick is up, and it is good.
No Merrill? I certainly thought you were going to pull a Merrill
Yeah,
impersonation there.
The voice is cracking just a little bit already. I don't want to strain myself here. So in this period, Eagles working on field goal block, and punt. And Jake is now backing it up to, let's see, what do we got here, C-Mac? We got 54 yards. They're lining it at the 44-yard line.
He's got the leg. No question, he's got the leg.
No wind tonight. And that kick looks like it is up.
That is beautiful.
And it is good.
Right down the middle. Nails it.
All right, good. Good stuff. Good stuff there from Jake Elliott. All right, so they're done now the field goal portion of it. Now I think they're working on the field goal block, maybe? Let's see what I got on my script here. Working on the, let's see.
Now, while that's going on.
Field goal block or the punt. Let's see what they got.
So while they're working on that, we also have the defensive linemen on the field. They're going to start going through individual drills. This defensive line has been so impressive in training camp with Josh Sweat, with Derek Barnett. Fletcher Cox met with the media a short time ago before practice, and he said the biggest thing with Josh Sweat is the consistency. And I will tell you, Josh Sweat has been that player who has flashed in training camps over the past, and his growth from his rookie year when he came in as a fourth-round pick, highly touted, uber athletic, just needed to put all the tools together. He has certainly started to do that. And as Ryan Kerrigan said earlier in training camp, he is the future. He very well could be the now. He was the third defensive end in the rotation last season. It'll be interesting to see how much bigger a role he can carve out for himself. But don't discount the former first-round pick, Derek Barnett, 2017 top team selection there when the draft was held in Philadelphia. He is stronger, he is healthy, and Fletcher Cox said, don't be surprised to see Derek Barnett have a breakout season as well. The Eagles are going to need that defensive line to be strong, to come after teams in waves. The coaching staff may have changed with Jonathan Gannon and his multiple scheme taking over as defensive coordinator, but the mindset, the philosophy of winning in the trenches certainly has not. And the Eagles adding to that by bringing in third-round pick Milton Williams out of Louisiana Tech, someone who has the versatility to play both inside and on the edge. He's added some weight. He's getting adjusted to that weight. So it'll be interesting to see early on how Jonathan Gannon deploys all of these pass rushers, these interior linemen. Because Fletcher Cox, if you go back to when the Eagles had a 3-4 scheme, had statistically his best season. Can he put that together once again? He knows that he's the centerpiece of this defense. He is a 6-time all-consecutive Pro Bowl selection. And quite honestly, Spuds, if we're looking at current Eagles, and we talk about Harold Carmichael, who could be in Canton one day down the road, Fletcher Cox among the current players as the best resume, the best shot to follow.
Agreed with that. It was funny hearing Fletcher talk about his job description and what the coaches want him to do. Get his hands on people and abuse them. Okay. That's kind of what we've seen since you were a first-round draft pick back in 2012. Wow, it's been a long time. 2012. 10th year for Fletch. Now we're watching the Eagles defensive line. Very impressive group. We take a look at a group I think is going to be very difficult to cut, actually, Chris. I'll be very interested to see what they do with when they get down to 53 men, how many they keep there, knowing that in a 17-game season, you really want to bring the heat in waves. By the way, it is cool tonight seeing the cheerleaders here, seeing the pep band here, seeing, everybody who is part of the drum line here. This is really a dry run for Thursday night in every way. We expect a larger crowd on Thursday night, but I'll tell you, the crowd has filled in really nicely, and the lower bowl is largely filled.
I would probably say 75% filled down here. It is certainly an energetic atmosphere, and really it's going to pick up once you see the offensive drills start to take place, and we get to see Jalen Hurts, who got a strong ovation from the crowd a short time ago. We get to see the wide receivers and the tight ends, all these skill position players in action out here on the field.
All right, so this drill, it's funny. Fran Duffy and I the other day were talking about a drill where the players were diving at the base of cones. We were surmising that was a drill that would, when the punt is bouncing toward the end zone, you're trying to bounce it back into play. We were wrong. This is actually that drill. And you see the gunners coming down on the side, locating the football, and practice. It's not a football, it's a bouncing soccer ball, tapping it back onto the field of play, or a basketball, whatever it is, a volleyball, tapping it back onto the field for a down inside the 5-yard line. So that's what that drill was that you took a look at there. As we move on to the next set of drills for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, so it's so underrated, Spuds, because at least once a game, you're going to see a player run down on punt coverage to try to down the ball inside the 5-yard line, inside the 3-yard line, and that is a huge game changer, okay? Those are the margins where you've got to try to find ways to win a football game, and that is going to make a huge difference at some point down the line. So it's great to see Michael Clay, who's come back as a special teams coordinator. He was an assistant coach years ago when Chip Kelly was a head coach, but Michael Clay went to San Francisco as the assistant special teams coordinator, has worked his way up the coaching ladder, and is a young, up-and-coming coach who gets his first chance at being a coordinator here, and he has a unit where he gets the mold, and it's different than past years because you don't have a Chris Maragos. You don't have a Brian Brayman. You don't have the quote-unquote household name, that fixture along the special teams unit. There are guys who are certainly in contention. Look, Alex Singleton last season led the team in special teams snaps, was among the leaders in tackles. Can he take the next step? But he's also got a big role on defense, as he proved coming back into the lineup at his first day, his first training camp practice, and working extensively with the first team unit. And Singleton, a short time ago, speaking to the media, saying how different it is going into this training camp, knowing that you pretty much have a spot on the roster. It's just where are you going to be on the depth chart, whereas in the past, the former CFL standout, Defensive Player of the Year up there in Canada, wasn't sure if he was going to make the final 53 or not, Spuds.
Hey, C-Mac, if you had to guess, who's your starting linebackers? Where are they playing? I mean, Eric Wilson in the middle.
Agreed.
Alex Singleton on the weak side.
I would agree. Now, that Sam linebacker spot's different, though.
It's almost like a Ryan Kerrigan gets some reps there, brings some pass rush punch off the edge. And then when the Eagles are in the nickel, that strong side linebacker might be
Avonte Maddox.
Yeah.
Yes. So far we've seen the likes of Jannard Avery, who is now officially a linebacker. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about some of those changes today. Joe Osman is officially a linebacker. Adrian Killens is officially a wide receiver. Who else?
Jack Driscoll
is officially
a tackle/guard, and that's important because, look, your week one offensive line should be whoever wins out at left tackle. Isaac Seumalo working his way back from his hamstring injury. Jason Kelsey at center. Brandon Brooks at right guard, and the all-pro Lane Johnson. But you need those experienced bodies, and you need that versatility to help out. So cross-training Jack Driscoll, who performed well. He had to start week one going against the likes of Chase Young and Ryan Kerrigan against Washington with Lane Johnson out. I thought did an excellent job and showed skills that you could build upon. I think the coaches are seeing, can he do a little bit more so he can be that much more valuable come game day? But those are the big changes
and
there.
Then Hakeem Butler is now a wide receiver.
Correct, which he was before. Yes.
So, but I thought the Killens one was interesting because we had noted that he takes all the reps. He had been taking all the reps with the wide receivers. And obviously, a player is very dangerous in space. So we'll see if he can make it there, make an impact there.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see the breakdown at wide receiver because you have Devontae Smith, who looked superb in the short amount of time we got to see him. The route running, the quickness, the acceleration, the hands, the complete package right there. Jalen Reagor coming into his second season can do so many things with what Nick Sirianni wants to do in this offense. Greg Ward is, the trusted. It's crazy that he's the veteran of that wide receiver group there in the slot. Travis Fulgham brings that big body. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has the big body. You have some of those young second-year receivers, also like Quez Watkins and John Hightower. It will be interesting to see if whether it's Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni want to have certain receivers for certain roles, and Killins can definitely have a role for this football team, but it'll be interesting when trying to whittle it down because there are a lot of tempting options that the Eagles are going to have. It'll be interesting to see how the preseason usage plays out because you're going to want to know, is the coach going to want to show all of his cards? And that's going to be on both sides of the football because you want to get as many reps with these players as you can. It's a valuable time for evaluation and for teaching these young guys. But at the same time, you know that Coach Steichen and Coach Gannon on the defensive side, they're not going to want to show all of their cards, okay? They've had a very interesting camp to this point, but you're not going to want to put all that on tape. It's one thing if you're doing it in the controlled practice environment at the NovaCare Complex. Maybe you do some in the joint practices coming up with the Patriots and the Jets, but it'll be interesting to see. One of the things to watch here in the coming weeks is how much will Coach Sirianni want to show in the preseason. He said that those scripts are pretty much already set. Obviously, you're going to make adjustments based on who's available on a game-to-game basis. But overall, that those scripts are already set, and it's just a matter of figuring out the exact playing time and who will be available for those preseason games.
We got to look there at Devontae Smith, who nice crowd reaction, no timetable on his return. Nobody seems particularly concerned about it. Will he play in the preseason? That seems to be the big question. I think that Nick Sirianni has said that he is very interested in getting him reps. So we shall see. Very impressive prior to the injury.
Very advanced for a rookie.
He did
his
it all.
rookie time.
He did it all in college, right?
Exactly.
So the last rookie to come in and be the number one receiver, it wasn't Macklin.
Macklin really wasn't, no.
Yeah, it wasn't Deshaun.
Deshaun was a go-to guy pretty early. I remember that career opener against the Rams. He had the electrifying touchdown to get things started, but you don't see that as much from the wide receiver position as a whole.
It wasn't Mike Quick, who had a really tough couple of seasons.
It wasn't Harold Carmichael.
Was not Harold Carmichael.
So you don't want to set these huge expectations, but you are impressed with the sample size you've seen, not just the athletic ability, but the maturity and the dedication that he wants to get better. And it's interesting hearing from guys like Darius Slay, who's gone against him in practice a few times, and the questions that Devontae Smith is asking, wanting to know the little nuances, the tricks of the trade, and what better to learn than against a player who's made the Pro Bowl 3 times in Slay. So it's an iron sharpens iron situation. I would love if he were out here tonight to get this crowd revved up.
Well, guess what? If you aren't here tonight, you've got one more chance to be out here for a live practice, August 22nd, Sunday night, 7 o'clock, right here at Lincoln Financial Field, open to the public practice. $10 tickets available on PhiladelphiaEagles.com. All proceeds benefiting Eagles Autism Foundation. Our continuing coverage of Philadelphia Eagles 2021 training camp presented by DraftKings. We're live from Lincoln Financial Field. Dave Spadaro, Chris McPherson, watching the Eagles as they are in period 3 of their 11-period practice tonight. We'll show you probably the first 4 periods. We think we can get that far. And then we will say goodbye, and then you'll have to figure it out here on PhiladelphiaEagles.com.
We will have practice notes.
On Twitter, that's right, on our official app. We'll have you covered. We just won't have you live. But we do appreciate you taking time out on an absolutely beautiful Sunday here in South Philadelphia as we now break I think this is our session 4. I believe this is my favorite session, Cenac. This is Routes on Air.
Get a little Routes on Air again to watch the wide receivers hone their craft. And Nick Sirianni has said that the toughest position is the one that the head coach previously played for. So he's been a stickler to details at that wide receiver position. And as it was well documented and noted, that Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo, the passing game coordinator, had a tough love approach to Jalen Reagor this past week in practice. And Spudge, you had a chance to talk with Coach after Jalen Reagor had the bounce-back performance, that majestic one-handed grab over Darius Slay in the one-on-one wide receiver defensive back red zone drills. what did you learn? What did you take from Coach as he talked about his process of connecting with the players and trying to get them better?
Well, he tells a lot of stories, number one, and some of them you kind of go, where are they coming from? Where are they leading to? But he's always got a way to weave it back into something that's meaningful, something that the players can relate to. And in the case of Jalen Reagor, I mean, look, he had a tough day on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, came back on Thursday and really responded. And what it's all about is, A, developing a connection, which is a trust factor, coach and player. Once a player knows that a coach has his back and wants that, everything he says to improve the player, then they're making progress. And so, they were tough on Jalen on one day, and they had him make corrections. He made those corrections. He came out with confidence on Thursday, and he had his best day of training camp. And the idea then is to stack those days back to back so that it becomes a routine rather than an anomaly. So we're going to keep our eyes on Jalen here the rest of training camp, and certainly Thursday night against the Steelers, I would think he'll get some opportunities to make plays.
I would hope so, and I think the coach is going to be very creative with how they utilize him, not just in the pass game, but get him involved in the run game. I think you'll see him a lot of short passes, the tunnel screens, because he was effective in that way in college, and I would not be surprised to see him utilized more in that way, especially with the emphasis that the coaches have been placing on blocking on the perimeter. Okay, it's something that you see across the National Football League now with these, get the guy that's the ball in space, get the guys blocking in front, and if you have receivers, big receivers like a Travis Fulgham blocking in front of you, if you have athletic offensive linemen like Jason Kelsey and Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson who can pave the way, look, the sky is the limit for what they can do getting yards after the catch. They want to turn Reagor into a yak monster in this offense.
A yak monster.
A yak monster. So speaking of Jalen's, transition real quick to Jalen Hurts, another second-year player, second-round draft pick for the team, and we'll wait to see how much we see of him in the preseason. But it was interesting that Nick Sirianni was asked, what do you look for from the quarterback in these practices? How do you evaluate number one on the field? And he listed 4 things: decision-making, accuracy, his ability to create plays, and his leadership, the intangibles. And the players across the board, the coaches across the board, have been absolutely over the moon with the intangibles, the leadership that Jalen Hurts brings to the table. But one thing that Coach Sirianni has said is difficult to evaluate with Jalen is the ability to make plays with his legs, because you're not going to always see that in these controlled practice settings, Spuds.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then certainly, as with all young quarterbacks, working on the consistency of everything, working on the accuracy, the timing. And ultimately, Chris, you can run all you want, but you have to win from the pocket.
You do.
And
you absolutely do.
And when you get into a playoff situation, teams are going to shut you down in the run game. So you got to win from the pocket. And that's what the Eagles are working on with Jalen Hurts. His first full season as a starter, we are expecting, although, look, he's got to go out and earn it. Joe Flacco did not come here to back up. Joe Flacco wants to play some ball.
And Joe Flacco still has an impressive arm.
Oh, yeah.
The other day in practice, rolling to his right, throwing it to the opposite hash for Greg Ward down the field. He definitely can sling the ball, and I think that he's gotten more comfortable as these practices have come along. Now, one thing to note here, Spuds, with the way that Sirianni is running the offense, the first 8 practices were installation practices where the coach, the players knew what the script was. They knew what the plays were going to be called on the field. On Thursday, or I'm sorry, on Saturday, the last practice was the first time that it was a little bit off the cuff, a little more unscripted. The players didn't quite know. It was more like a game situation, and that's going to be something to watch here with Coach Sirianni, because it's going to be his first time in the NFL calling plays. So he's going to try to give himself some of that practice here during these practices to get some of that training, and then we will see that unfold on Thursday night. So the players have to know the entire playbook. It's not just a small sampling of plays. It's not like an appetizer, main course, dessert type situation. They've got to know the full menu of plays that they're working with so that if coach calls a play, they're going to be able to do it, Spuds. As we transition to now your favorite
routes on air.
Routes on air, baby.
There we go. You got to complete every single one of these balls.
Do not want to see any balls hit the ground out here. You're watching Nick Mullins coming over from San Francisco, had elbow surgery after suffering a season-ending injury late last season. You see Hakeem Butler talked about originally came here to play tight end, but has moved back to wide receiver, which is where he was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, interesting move there. You know, big body. Eagles kind of looking for that 6'6" target.
The Harold Carmichael. They don't grow on trees whatsoever. But they also have a lot of prospects at tight end as well, which I think probably is why the coach has said, let's move Butler back to his natural position and see what he can do there.
We've got you covered here, our live coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles training camp presented by DraftKings for the first time in 2021. We are here at Lincoln Financial Field. Dave Spadaro, Chris McPherson on a beautiful Sunday night, first of two, open to the public practices. The second one coming your way on a big weekend. The weekend of the Eagles Autism Challenge on Saturday, August 21st. And then on Sunday, August 22nd, we want to see you right back here. Eagles practice, open to the public, 7 o'clock.
Are you riding?
Fun.
Are you riding?
I think I'm emceeing.
No.
I never get to ride. Listen, you know me, I'm an avid bike rider.
You bike every day to the office.
I do,
figured
pretty much.
It'd be a natural fit, so we should have you on the course there, commenting from there. So.
That's not a bad idea, a little GoPro.
There we go.
Okay. I'll put in for that next year.
I've got to get myself in shape for 30-mile ride very soon. So
are you telling me you could ride 30 miles?
I could do it. I'll do it.
Come on.
I'll do it. I'll be able to make it happen.
You're the beast. Little corner route there. Nicely done. Little Joe Flacco bullet and a catch is made. Now let's see what we've got from Jalen Hurts here at Lincoln Financial Field in the familiar red jersey. Good catch there, Greg Ward. Way to go down and get it. Red zone, Chris, so much work in the red zone in this camp. And that's the truth is that's where games are won and lost in the NFL.
Has absolutely been an absolute added emphasis for Sirianni in his first camp here because, like you said, you got to turn those potential 3 points into 6 points and 7-point touchdowns. So, you know, the Eagles were not great in the red zone last season. I'm sure that Sirianni has gone through the tape. He's shown them all of the mistakes and areas where they can improve. But he knows that this is where you win. You got to be able to win inside the 20. So it's also great for the quarterback development because things are going to happen quicker. Those windows are going to be much tighter. You got to be more consistent. You got to make quick decisions, and you have to be accurate when the time comes.
Yeah, and there are times when we're watching this and you see a throw to the back shoulder. That's by design. I mean, the back shoulder throw has become so in vogue in the NFL, and it's really, really effective.
You can't defend it. That's the biggest thing. It's if you're going to have, you know, these tall cornerbacks who are going to be great in space, guys like Steven Nelson, who has been absolutely sticky throughout training camp. Darius Slay is on top of these guys day in and day out. The only way to beat these cornerbacks is going to be with accurate throws to spots where they're just not going to be able to get to. A great throw is going to win every single time.
Now, some two-man routes here. Well, that's not true. Two quarterbacks throwing to single men, running different routes. We're in a corner here trying to look at things, and it's a little bit confusing, trying to get as many reps in as the Eagles can. And, C-Mac, we haven't talked about, I don't know if you guys did yesterday, we haven't talked about Nick Mullins, the third quarterback coming off the elbow surgery. Successful quarterback in San Fran. 16 games, the second most passing yards in NFL history. So Mullins comes in. We'll see what he can do as the number 3 quarterback, see how that elbow responds. And certainly got a wealth of experience in that quarterback room with Hurts, Flacco's 14 years, and Nick Mullins, who has 16 starts in 19 games from his time in San Francisco.
And you look at your coaches, you have Shane Steichen and his quarterback background as well. So Kevin Patullo as the passing game coordinator. So Nick Mullins, though, you mentioned the 16 starts, and this is a guy who wasn't drafted. You know, he came in as a rookie free agent, has been year after year been thrown into the fire for one reason or another, and has been able to perform. Now, what I like about him, he gets rid of the ball quickly. He throws with a little bit of anticipation. He's got a little movement to him. So the big thing is if Nick Sirianni says, I want you to take what's there, take what the defense is giving you, Nick Mullins can do that because he's going to get the ball out quickly. So that's the one thing to watch with him is can he effectively engineer the offense. And we're going to see plenty of drives. But what I think also that Mullins is valuable because he has that starting experience is the third-team receivers and tight ends. They're not working with a rookie. They're not working with someone who's undeveloped and is trying to find his own footing in the league. This is someone who has played significant games. The Eagles faced him last season in San Francisco. So the big thing there is Mullins brings that veteran presence to help these young receivers develop.
We are wrapping up our live coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 training camp on this Sunday night here at Lincoln Financial Field. We thank you for joining us. We thank DraftKings for making it all possible. And we're back with more live coverage on Tuesday from the NovaCare Complex, just 2 days before the preseason opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Chris McPherson, great job. I'm Dave Spadaro. Thanks, everybody. Have yourselves a great Eagles night. And as always, fly, Eagles, fly.